Chapter 14 Secrets and Cheesy Chowder. Jenner joined Lily and Tink at the table to gobble down the cheesy chowder. After the day he'd had, this seemed the finest meal he had ever eaten. A vat of steaming soup filled the kitchen with a rich, buttery smell, and a fresh loaf of butter bread had been sliced and set on the table. Jenner got up to refill his bowl. Tink had already eaten 3, and heard a snippet of conversation between Nia and Poto in the next room. What in the name of smelly seaweed and our sour salad happened to the biddies? Poto demanded, pounding his club on the plank floor. Well, Papa, that granddaughter of yours wandered off. I told you I didn't feel good about letting them go into town alone. Jenner and Tink didn't notice she was gone. What? If, if I've told that boy once, I've told him a jabillion times. He's to watch over them. Hush now, Papa. They're safe. That's what matters now. A long pause. Jenner's cheeks burned with shame. Aye. He's just a lad yet. I shouldn't have let him into town alone, not on a day like this. Then what happened? Lily tried to protect Nugget from a fang. She kicked it. The dog? The fang. She did? My little warrior lass had the sweet pluck to round on a fang. Janner couldn't see Poto, but he knew he was smiling proudly with his bushy eyebrows raised. He also knew his mother's expression would be disapproving. Within seconds, Poto cleared his throat and said gravely, She did, eh? Reckless child. Oughter have known better. And the boys tried to save her, Nia said. Aha! Poto thundered, and Janner grinned. Poto cleared his throat again and said in a loud whisper, I knew those lads had a fire in their bellies. 2 wee fighters against the fangs of Dang. I tell you, they've got their all Poto's growl and girth in 'em. If their father could see them now. Janner stopped smiling as Poto stopped short. A heavy silence divided them all. Sorry, lass, Poto said after a moment. He was suddenly tender in a way that surprised Janner. Go on, Poto urged Nia. What happened then? Nia took a deep breath. I'm not sure, but I think I have a guess. The kid said that someone threw 2 rocks that knocked the fangs flat. They didn't see where the rocks came from. Then they ran to find us. It wasn't until after the dragon sang that they were caught and taken to the jail. Again, neither spoke for a moment. Poto broke the silence. Well, grab my gizzard, honey. Do you think it was him? Poto's voice had suddenly lowered, and Janner had heard his own heart quicken. Does she think it was who? He wondered as he eased away from the stove and pressed his ear to the door. I don't know, Nia said, but it certainly sounds like something he'd do. There was a long pause. Whoever it was, I'm thankful. The children are alive. Janner could tell by his mother's tone that the discussion was over. Janner, give me some more children. Tink mouthed from the table. Huh? Janner said, turning around a little too quickly. Tink swallowed his mouthful of food and belched loudly. Get me some more chowder, eh? Since you're up. Deep in thought, Janner filled Tink's bowl and sat back down at the table. Lily was feeding Nugget bits of food, and Tink was oblivious to anything but the steaming bowl of soup in front of him. Janner thought back over every detail of that afternoon. He couldn't think of one clue as to who could have thrown the rocks. The alley was deep enough that whoever threw them had to be an excellent shot. Only 2 rocks thrown, and they hit their marks perfectly, and they came at the very last second. How could that be? And how was it that Poto and his mother had a guess as to who the mysterious rock thrower was? Suddenly, with a crash and a pirate growl, Poto burst into the room. What's this I hear about brave little renegades terrorizing the tar out of their local lizards? He roared. Poto hobbled over to Lily and swept her up over his shoulder with one of his giant tattooed arms as she squealed and pounded playfully on his back. Now get in here, lads and lasses, and tell me a tale that'll make me quiver in me boots. Poto kicked open the door with his wooden stump and carried Lily out of the kitchen with it like a kidnapped maiden. Janner and Tink smiled at one another and pushed away from the table, Tink with a mouthful of butter bread and Janner with a head full of questions.